that.
Hey, welcome into Feldco Football Recap Live with Olin Kreutz, Tom Waddle. I'm David Kaplan. We will review the Bears' brutal loss to the Detroit Lions, get you set for Monday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings, talk about a lot going on in Bear World. If you got a question, you can tweet at any of us. You can get me at the Capman. You got at TWaddle87, at Olin Kreutz. And let's get started with our 4 seasons heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electric game breakdown of a 31-26 heartbreaking loss. All right, let's start with you, Tommy boy. 31-26. And wow, it's never happened in the history of the league since they started keeping stats in 1932 that a team could have +3 or more in the takeaway department and 40 or more minutes of possession. Teams were 48-0 until Coach Eberflus and the Bears lost in Detroit. Your first takeaway.
That's a soul-crushing loss. And there were so many good things that I saw from an individual standpoint that were just kind of at the end of the game. They were glossed over because of the outcome and how they just disintegrated. Wow, I mean, I don't know where to start other than, like, defensively, I thought they dictated policy for a good portion of the game. But if you look at, inside the 2-minute defense, and I'll focus on the defense and the negative to start with. In the final minute and 45 seconds, the Detroit Lions drove the length of the field. What was it, 75 yards at the end of the first half to take a 14-10 lead. And then in the final 4 minutes and 15 seconds, they were able to accumulate 148 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 2-point conversion. And you ask yourself the question, like, what's going wrong here? Is it a scheme issue, which I think that, you can probably be significantly more aggressive? Is it a player issue? Yeah, like Tremaine Edmonds needs to make a tackle. You need to keep Laporta in bounds. Jalen Johnson and Eddie Jackson can't have a communication error where, Jamison Williams finds an open spot in the end zone, and that play happens. So, Cap and Olin, we all want to, at some point the finger at one individual person or in one, singular spot. And I thought this was a classic example of, a coaching staff that made a lot of mistakes. And also you saw a significant number of player execution problems. And at the end of the day, this is a team that has not figured out how to win games. There are some guys on this team that I think are impressive players. I think that the roster has improved, but they haven't been able to put it all together in a 60-minute outing. And it's really frustrating, I'm sure, for them. As frustrating as it is for us to watch, I can guarantee you that inside that building, it's frustrating for those guys as well.
Olin, what was your takeaway from this thing? Did you see this unfolding as you sat there in your office watching the game? Did you look and go, oh, my God, I think they can blow this? Because I did not.
Well, like 4:15 left, I thought, I hate to have this stop, but you think, man, how are they going to end up losing this game, right? Because that's what's happened to us the last 2 years. And look, I believe strongly that you need to study the way teams have beat you for a while or the way you've lost, right? And when they lost 31-30 last year to the Lions, right, Jalen Johnson gives up a big play to Tim Kennedy. Guess who Aiden Hutchinson is one-on-one with at the end of the game to put him in 3rd and 15 to lose a game in which Justin Fields puts up magnificent numbers? Riley Reef, right? So when you repeat these mistakes, when you don't study the reason why you lost to this team in a close game, when you don't study what happened to the coaching decisions you've made before, then you will lose close games, right? Because when you're facing, like Tom just said, learning how to win is a thing in the NFL. Learning how to beat certain teams, it's a thing in football, period, right? Like, how are we actually losing it? Like, you lost 31-30 last year. Justin Fields had an amazing game last year, right? He threw that interception, but that's fine. At the end of the game, again, Riley Reef is one-on-one with Aiden Hutchinson. They put you in 3rd and 15. At the end of the game this year, look, I'll be honest with you. With the position the Bears are in, you'd like them to have an easy win. I was happy that Justin Fields had the ball in his hand with 30 seconds left and 2 timeouts. I want to see what he does.
Yeah.
Right. And no one's going to argue. The man is fun to watch. He is a dynamic football player. Everyone knows it. right? Like you put this Bears roster up against the Lions roster, and we went to this game thinking they actually match up. Like for the first time in 2 years, they match up, Tom and Cap. They match up when you go man for man. Tremaine Edmonds, Montez Sweat, Jalen Johnson, Eddie Jackson. Those are names in the NFL. Darnell Wright versus Aiden Hutchinson. You saw it. He matched up well, right? Justin Fields, DJ Moore. You saw it. 3rd and 12, break 3 tackles, get a first down. You saw it all right there in front of you. They don't know how to win games yet, and that's why you had a feeling they would lose.
What does it take to learn how to win? Is it just winning? Is it, boy, Darnell Wright's a rookie. They should have chipped and helped him there at the end of the game. They didn't. They didn't learn, like you said, from last year. What does it take? What did it take you guys to go, all right, now I know what I'm doing?
I think this goes back to, we all want one singular explanation or one singular entity to point to put all the blame on. Like everyone wants to blame Matt Eberflus. And look, I can give you a list of things that I thought that they could have done different from a coaching perspective. Tyler Scott, run under the ball. Like, keep running. Don't slow down. It's a good play call. He has Justin on that final drive. He's got DJ Moore on the deep crosser. He's got Tyler Scott. I thought it was an excellent call. I thought it was an excellent read by Justin. I thought it was an excellent throw by Justin. And Tyler Scott, a rookie wide receiver, doesn't continue to run his route. You have to, as a player, you have to show up in crunch time, and you have to prove that you're willing and you're capable of delivering when your number is called. And I do believe, though, guys, and Olin, you could probably speak to this better than I, because in the league, you won a hell of a lot more than I did. But
not that much more.
inside that locker room, there is a culture that is created from the coach and the coaching staff and just everybody. And it's hard to put a thumb on, and it's hard to kind of describe, but it doesn't exist with this team. And I'm not on the inside of the building. I can just look at it from the outside. But it's almost as if, like, have you guys ever been in an environment where, regardless of what happened or whatever adversity that you faced, you just knew you were going to find a way to make a play? I felt that way in 1991 when we got into the postseason. As a wild card team, we ultimately got beat by the Lions in the first round. But there were just games over the course of that season where you just knew that someone was going to make a play and somebody was going to show up and the coaching staff was going to make the right call. And it's hard to explain, but it just doesn't exist for this team right now.
Olin, I want to take you and Tommy through. We'll start with you, OG, through the Tyler Scott play. I pulled some pictures of this. This is the play on 3rd and 9 after they ran off tackle, and then they ran a read option where Justin decided not to take on the linebacker. We'll get into that in a minute. But this is that fateful play, and I see number 2 crossing across the middle, open. I think he can win the race to the sticks and get the first down. And, I listened to Tom yesterday with Sylvie on the radio saying, Tyler Scott's an NFL player. He's got to make that play. You have, I think, a little bit different perspective. I'd love to hear you guys chop this up. So take it.
Yeah. I have a lot different perspective on that thought. My first thought about Tyler Scott is, I'll go through the last 15 years of 4th-round picks for the Chicago Bears, and I understand that guy's got to make that play, but how many guys have actually made the team, had an NFL career, right? And Tyler Scott now, he is the 5th Bears wide receiver, because when the season started, they believed in him so much that Chase Claypool and Velus Jones was in front of him. That's how much they believed in Tyler Scott. And Trent Taylor's on the field just as much time as Tyler Scott is. Now, listen, it's a totally different situation. Everyone's saying that, I've heard a lot of people say Tyler Scott's got to run under that ball. It's a learning moment for him. I will argue, I don't know if it is, right? I don't know if this kid's going to make the NFL. I don't know that. I would argue that Justin Fields this. And I'll tell you this story about, I had a left guard next to me. His name was Carl Nix in New Orleans. And he was looking for a huge contract. And one game he said, Olin, you got to slide to me here. I need help. I said, you want the contract? Block the guy by yourself. Right? Yeah. I'm supposed to do the job there. But you want the big money, bro. Block the guy by yourself. Okay? Justin Fields. We went into this game saying there's so many different things going on with this team, right? Is it the right read? Yes. It is the right read. if I'm the coach, I am telling him, do not throw the ball to Tyler Scott here. Throw it to DJ Moore. If you see man coverage, take off and run. That's the option I'd rather see him do. Now, DJ Moore, we talked about the 3rd and 12. He breaks 3 tackles and gets a first down. I am throwing the ball to DJ Moore at that moment. Why? He's a first-round pick. I'm going to give him $20+ million as a wide receiver. And Justin, if you want $50 million a year, don't stand up on the podium and talk to me about Tyler Scott. Don't do it, because that's not what I want from you. You have to make the play. You have to, like, it's just, to me, at that moment, you got to study your history. You got to study. Okay, let's go through it. Last year against Miami, you had a great game. St. Brown drops your pass, right? People blame that on you, right? Atlanta, you throw an interception, right? Mooney drops it against the Commanders. Emir Smith-Marset fumbles against the Vikings, right? Eventually, you have to learn from things that have happened to you. You've gone through all these guys, and I'm sure everybody was saying then, EQ St. Brown's got to make the catch. Emir Smith-Marset's got to not fumble the ball. All that stuff is being said, right? Riley Reef has to block Aiden Hutchinson. We're all saying this stuff. Eventually, you have to learn from the past and go to DJ Moore.
Look, and I completely respect that perspective. I think my first response is to all the people that believe that the Bears coaching staff failed the quarterback in this situation. That's why I'll kind of rewind and say, I thought it was a fine play. I thought you had 2 options, and I completely understand where Olin's going. Like, look, in money time, you go to the guy that you trust the most. I totally get that. That's quarterback decision. That's not a coaching issue. And I'm not suggesting that Olin is saying it's a bad call, but I think it's a really good point. It's like, from a quarterback's perspective, are you making the right decision? Are you making the correct decision with regard to the odds? And who's got a better chance of making that play for you? A 4th-round rookie wide receiver or a guy who has excelled in this league now for 6 years? And I think that's a tremendously fair point. I would just say, as a guy that was always begging for my opportunity, I lived for that moment. And if the quarterback hadn't thrown me the ball in that situation, if I was Tyler Scott, I'd have been pissed. Now, no one would have cared that I would have been pissed because I was an undrafted free agent. But, like, that's why I play the game. I play the game because I love the game, and I got an opportunity, and I want you to throw me that ball because I want to be the guy that makes that catch, and we seal this game, and we're all celebrating. So I can't dispute what Olin is saying. I can just give you the perspective from, like, at what point then do we stop putting Tyler Scott out there? Should we have put Darnell Mooney out there? I totally agree with that. Yeah, Darnell Mooney's a more reliable receiver. But if I can't trust Tyler Scott, then he needs to go home tomorrow. Like, bring me in somebody that I can trust in that situation, because in the next situation, as you saw that clip too, like, I think Justin has already made the read, and I'm not going to lie on the read. If you see the safety's got a much longer way to go from the opposite hash to get to Tyler Scott. The other safety drops in the hole. Do I think he can get to DJ Moore and stop that play? No, because as Olin said, look, DJ Moore caught a 5-yard route on a 3rd and 11 and dragged 9 guys to the first down stake and got the first down. Like, these are rich people problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, in a lot of ways. Like,
by the way, Justin Fields beats the blitz on that 3rd and 12 too.
Yes.
And gets the ball out. I mean, he did some things in that game, guys.
Fabulous.
I mean, it was unbelievable.
And by the way,
he played a clean game as a quarterback, right?
So
if you want to argue about how he played as a quarterback, Cap, it was clean.
I thought that's the best adjective, Olin, to say what I saw from him too. Because, like, when this game started, I'm like, I don't want to see sacks. I don't want to see turnovers. And I'll go here too, and I'll go rogue on this for a second. We had this conversation last week about whether or not Justin can learn from sitting on the sidelines or standing on the sidelines for 4 weeks and watching an inferior quarterback play his position. And there were some people that got butthurt about what Chris Collinsworth had to say. And maybe Chris banged that drum one too many times, but I'm a true believer that even if you're the more talented player, the better player, if for whatever reason you're on the sideline and you watch an inferior player play your position, doesn't mean you can't learn from that guy. You can learn from how that guy plays your position. Mm-hmm. And I think, Yurko said this a couple of weeks ago on the radio station. And played for 10 years in the league. He played for Greg Blosh. And at one point he said Blosh pulled, I forget the player, a very talented player, pulled him off the field because he wasn't playing well. And he goes, you know what? You're going to sit your ass right here next to me on the sideline. You're going to watch an inferior player play your position, and you're going to learn from it. And to Justin's credit, Justin said during the week, he goes, look, I did learn from watching. Doesn't mean that Tyler Bagent's a better player, but when you see that somebody play your position, and maybe you get a different perspective. And to your point, Olin, he was clean. The ball came out quicker. He took his layups. Like, that's maybe the best game, and the stats may not say it. That may be the best game I've seen Justin play. Maybe not in his whole career, but in a very long time for those reasons. So, look, again, I don't want to – Olin's right. I can't say Olin's wrong. I'm just saying in that moment, if you don't have guys, whether you're an all-pro or you're the 53rd guy on the roster, until guys start making those plays, you're not going to learn how to win, you know? So I think we're arguing the same point. We're just coming from it at a different direction. And I agree, like, in crunch time, you're 3-7 at this point. In crunch time, if that play needs to be made to go to the postseason, yeah, I mean, I'm probably throwing it to DJ before I'm throwing it to Tyler, but both guys got to make a play, right? Can we all agree on that?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, now one guy's looking for a $50 million contract.
That's
right?
true. You're right.
Now, here's the thing. Here's where something I was thinking about. It took me, I don't know, 40 minutes to look at Justin Fields' career the last 2 years and say, wow, this is what's missing, right? This is, if I look at all the great games he played and why they lost, this is what's missing from his career. This is what you would question when he is playing well. I would like to ask him if when he came back and we heard Eberflus say he needs to be more consistent, he needs to score in the red zone, he needs to move the ball in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I like to ask him if someone went over all those plays with him. I say, look, man, we're watching this film. This is what you have to do different. We have to make these plays at the end of the game. If you want us, because really there's so much going on here, right? Did Justin Fields play great? Yes. Was it a clean game? Yes. No, nobody would argue that. I mean, some of those throws he made, flipped his hips through the, it was nuts. Like, it was like 2 or 3 guys in the whole league can do that, right? Why? Then I'm Justin. I say, why would you consider taking a quarterback then? Right? I want to know why. Why would you take Mayor Williams? Well, it's crunch time, bro. I need you to make the play in crunch time.
No, it's
like be honest with him. Tell him. Because when I was a player, man, you just tell me what I got to do and what I'm not doing well, and I'm going to work on it. Yeah. Like, if I can figure that out, Cap, everybody knows I'm not smart. I'm not a smart guy. If I can figure that out in 1 week, in 1 hour, and just I heard Dave Wance say, man, this guy's got to make plays in 2 minutes. Dave, old coach. I heard him say it. And I thought, man, I wonder what he does with the ball in his hands at the end of games. And it doesn't do much.
It's such a great point too, Olin. And I got to be honest with you. I didn't even look at it from that perspective. I looked at it and said, both guys are open. I'm not going to criticize the quarterback because he makes the decision early. He's trusting what he sees, and he drops a dime in there, and the young guy doesn't make a play. But I will consent to, like, I'm just coming at it from a different perspective. You're right. Like, decision-making is such an important commodity when it comes to a quarterback. So the quarterback in a split second has to say, what's my read? Where am I going to go with it? Where am I supposed to go with it? And who do I trust most? And is that a lot to ask of a quarterback? Yes. But as you said, if you want a $200 million bag of cash, that's got to be part of the equation. So, like, I tip my cap, and I can, I say it's something I didn't really consider at the time. But I will say, Olin, that kid still got to run underneath that ball.
Oh yeah, and you wish he would for him, right? You would, like, it. Right. It is like, but it is the easiest way to say it is there's so many different opinions because it is and it isn't, right? Like, it's just so many things going on right now, Cap and Tom, when you're watching Justin, right? And sometimes, like, you guys know, I'm not on the radio like full time, so you're on a hit and someone asks you a question, you give an answer, and everybody's like, well. Olin thinks Justin Fields is completely wrong. Well, that's completely not right.
No, I got it.
Like what his read was. Yeah. I know that. If I study every game and I say, why why would I take May or Williams over Justin Fields? It would be because I don't think he can win the game at the end of the game.
Listen, what I described.
Fair point.
What I described was your basic, 4-year college approach to this. Olin just gave you the master class. He just gave you the graduates. And I'm being serious, and I'm not trying to. He just gave you, like, I got a master's in business. That's when you spend 2 years or how many years, when you get your master's degree, that's my interpretation. Like, that is the advanced kind of way of evaluating that play. And I completely understand that approach for it.
All right, I want to go back to the 2 running plays, and Dan Tana, thanks for your comment up there. He wanted to talk about the 2 running plays that went nowhere. The first play looked to be an off-tackle play. It went for a yard. The second play, Justin said that was a read option, and I'm quoting him, I made the right read by giving the ball to Khalil Herbert. It went nowhere. Olin and I talked the other day yesterday for quite a while about it, and Olin's point on it is, yeah, I know 55, the linebacker Barnes is there. Justin runs a 4.4, that guy runs a 4.8 or whatever the numbers are.
I think it was 4.6, 4.59, 4.6. And look, it's the same argument, right? It's a clean game. He's right. That is the read. I won't argue that.
Right.
But I'll go back to what I told Carl Nix, right? Like, I'll go back like Tom. Tom knew he had to catch the ball over the middle. Why?
Yeah.
If I didn't catch his ball, I'm going to be on the radio a lot sooner than I want to be, right?
Right.
When I had one-on-one run blocks, I tell the guard, go help the tackle, because I know what I want to put on film. I want to block that guy one-on-one because that's what the best centers in the league do. They block guys one-on-one, right? And then that's a challenge you want. I remember one time getting a guard away from me and going to block Luther Ellis one-on-one, and he beat me like a drum. I gave him a sack. So that hurt my arguing for my new contract. But that is what you're saying there. Now, as far as they missed Deontay Foreman there, right? Because you heard Coach Eberflus say, see, on that run play inside, what they really want to do is crash everything down, and the first one have the running back bounce outside and go one-on-one with the cornerback. And you heard Coach Flu say they thought they blocked it good. The running back didn't get outside one-on-one with the cornerback. So they missed Deontay Foreman there. Khalil Herbert didn't look completely healthy in that game. I think Feeney it looked like they had some confusion there on who was doubling team, who wasn't. And then inside, I'll go back to, man, listen, Tevin Jenkins plays a clean game at left guard. I just think it's an elite right side. My argument to keeping Tevin there is this. In the last 5 years, when you watch Chicago Bears, you've seen one all-pro performance. That was Tevin Jenkins playing right guard against the New Orleans Saints. That's my argument. So at the end of the game, again, when you need a big play, we need someone to make a play on the offensive line, you lose your right side there. And that's not a knock on Nate Davis. He was just out for a while. Everybody said, Olin, Tevin's going to be fine left guard. I know he'll be fine. What I want is a right side that I can run behind late in games and go downhill.
See, this is why I like this show, because I learned shit from it as well. But
tell me about it.
And I agree with it. It's in crunch time. Olin's right, and Cap, you're right. Like, Justin makes a decision where if you're sitting in the film room afterwards, you don't give him a negative for that. Like, you can understand why. But the true difference makers, as Olin calls them, the multipliers, are the guys that have solutions to questions that maybe you didn't even think of. And he beat 55. It was 55, right?
Yeah, Barnes.
8 or 9 times. Like, I thought that, and I don't know, I didn't get an opportunity this week to look at the all 22 yet, but it looked to me as if, like, they weren't even trying to run that type of play at Hutchinson, because Hutchinson's got better athletic ability. So what we're going to do is we're going to run it over here where I know the quarterback can, even if he doesn't slam down, I can still beat him to the edge. And Justin made a lot of great decisions. And I can understand, in that situation, while Justin technically makes the right decision, if I'm their coaching staff, like Olin said, I want Justin to have the ball in his hands. I don't want the running back to have, because I want Justin on 55, not the running back trying to find a spot in there. So it's another kind of, like, this is why I'm saying we have these conversations at times, and they go from just your basic college courses. And then you go to the, trying to get your master's in football. And these are the questions and these are the topics that you have to discuss. So,
and look, even if he gets tackled there, right, Tom? Like, if me and you are in the room and we're general managers,
I'll go down with him before I'll go down with the other guy.
I'm happy he kept it. I'm happy he was like, I wanted the ball in my hands. I wanted to make the decision. I wanted it to be on me at that moment in the game. And I am just shocked that going into that game, leading up to what everyone was talking about, that somebody in that building didn't sit him down and say, let's go through the Miami game. Let's go through the Detroit game. Let's go through the Atlanta game, right? They've won one game, I think, since in a one-score game when he's played. And it's when Roquan Smith intercepted Houston.
Yeah.
And they kicked the field goal to win the game.
Yep.
Right? Like, I'm surprised they haven't gone through all that and said, Justin, at this time, man, we're riding with you. Especially the game they were he was having. I mean, it was the last year in the 31-30 game, he kept the ball on Aiden Hutchinson, and Aiden Hutchinson didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
Right? Like the guy is dynamic, man. That is like in that game, like you're saying, Tom, some of the plays he made, I mean, you were screaming watching that game. It was fun to watch them match up. Darnell Wright matched up almost every play with him. Every play with Aiden Hutchinson, except for the last one.
All right, let's do our Justin Fields winging it. Look at Justin's numbers, brought to you by Westtown Bakery in Wheeling, corner of Lake Cook and Milwaukee, and their OK Dispensary as well. Justin's numbers, 16 of 23, $169, threw a touchdown pass to DJ Moore, a good strike at 38 yards. He did not turn it over, and he ran 18 times, 14 of which were design runs for 104 yards. Again, brought to you by Westtown Bakery in Wheeling. They sent me this for my birthday. How about that?
Westtown Bakery, is that where you brought me that brownies from, Cap?
Yes.
The s'mores brown, that thing is unbelievable.
How good was that?
My wife, daughters, my mother-in-law, and my father-in-law in from Hawaii. We were partaking in some brownies.
Good. I'm glad you liked them. They sent me this for my birthday, a s'mores cookie. So I gave you
I want to toss in before I forget about it too. Like, I think we've all acknowledged that Justin did some really good things. I thought what we saw from him as well was, I've said this a lot in the past. A lot of times when you have mobile quarterbacks, you don't scramble or you don't move in the pocket just to run. What you do is you move in the pocket efficiently to find throwing lanes. And I thought that we saw him do that about as efficiently as we've seen in quite some time. And the touchdown pass, I thought, guys, was a great example of that. Finds a way to kind of find a spot, climbs the pocket, and he had plenty of room to tuck and run. And in previous games or years, he probably would have tucked and continued to run that football. But what he did was he found a throwing lane. He climbed the pocket and decided, instead of running the football, scramble to create some time to throw the ball and then drop the dime on DJ Moore. And those are the types of things, I think, when you watch him play, those are the things you want to see him do consistently. And I thought it was just a great example of him, using his athletic ability, not just to get out of a tough situation, but to create an opportunity for him to step up and throw the football. And I thought it was just a beautiful play.
All right, let's take a quick timeout. You're watching Feldco Football Recap Live. You need windows done. Feldco is your company. We will take a quick timeout, come back with Dr. Pepper play of the game and player of the game. I want the guys to break down the play that went awry. Be right back.
Hey, Dad, we're running low.
We'll be all right.
What is going on here?
Insulation? I'm chilly.
I can't help you with a decoration, but I can help you replace these windows fast.
Right now, buy one window and you'll get one free. Plus, no interest until 2025. And we'll get it done Feldco fast.
Buy one window, get one free, and soon. Hurry. Call now.
Call 866 for Feldco.
Feldco Bears Recap Live is brought to you by Feldco, Chicago's home renewal experts. Call 866-4FELDCO. 4 Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. For all the right reasons, 4 Seasons. Vienna Beef. Go to viennabeef.com and use code CAP23
That's KAP23 at checkout for 15% off your order today. And Dr. Pepper. Grab an ice cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. West Town Bakery in Wheeling at the corner of Lake Cook Road and Milwaukee. Enjoy the best brunch Saturday and Sunday mornings.
All right, I want to start with the Dr. Pepper play of the game. By the way, OG, tonight I'm going strawberry and cream. I'll show it to you right there, my zero sugar Dr. Pepper. Play of the game, though, Jalen Johnson is another guy, as you two guys have talked. You want the bag of money? You cannot drop that pick six, which he'd have been gone 95, 96 yards. 2 plays later, Lions are in the end zone because he dropped that play. Olin, your thoughts on what happened there?
Yeah, he made a great play on the ball. I heard him talk about it on the radio. He's in man coverage. He sees the routes. He drives on the ball. It happens fast, and he's got to make that play. I mean, honestly, man, when he broke on that ball, for him, I was so happy for him, right? I mean, Tom knows, man. When these guys are busting their ass to get these contracts, man. I mean, I was like, go, and then honestly, like, I know he's got to make that play, but as a former player, like, I honestly felt bad for him. Like, I want him to make that play. You know what I mean? Like, I know, like, he wants to make that play. Like, I just know, like, the work it takes to get to that moment. You know what I mean? I know what he did. And look, I'm hoping, I think he'll get a chance again. I think he'll make the play. There's nothing else to say. He's got to make the play if you want, if you want the big money. You got to have ball production at cornerback.
We asked the difference. How does a team learn to win? How does a team, find themselves losing consistently? I'll just draw the example to Olin's team. Peanut makes that play, right? And that one of those 2-minute drives when Tremaine Edmonds is in the middle of the field and needs to get David Montgomery or Jahmyr Gibbs down, you got to make that tackle. And that's really, truthfully, at the end of the day, I mean, as much as you want to point the finger here, point the finger there, when you make plays like that, it just, it multiplies, and you find yourself on the right side of the ledger more times than not. So I don't think he's trying to drop the ball. I mean, I don't think Edmonds is trying to miss.
He wants that $24 million a year contract, man.
And listen, this is the nature of the beast too. Like when good things happen and you take your helmet off and you're giving the money sign to the cameras, I mean,
that was my next point.
I didn't hate him for that. Like, you be you. You behave the way you want to behave, and you do whatever it is. But you realize when that play happens, or you and Eddie Jackson have a miscommunication on the Jameson Williams touchdown pass, when you're getting width instead of depth in that defense, and you find yourself in no man's land. Like, I mean, like, that's the nature of the sport.
Olin, when you went through your biggest contract, I know you went, there you go. You got the zero sugar cherry. I got the zero sugar strawberries and cream.
I'm trying, Cap, like, I don't know about you guys, but I go on this, like, little bit of a diet before Thanksgiving. It's killing me right now. Like, I'm just trying to get to Thanksgiving, man. You know what I mean?
That's it.
Trying my best.
That's it. When you went through your contract stuff, I think you went and visited, like, Miami. Am I right?
Yes.
But there was I was covering the team. I don't remember any chatter in the media where you were getting the media around your locker going, I want to be respected. I want to be paid. It was like Mark Bartelstein, I believe, was your agent. He handled it.
Rick Smith.
You played. You told us a few weeks ago, hey, man, I'm in the last year of my deal, and I'm going to play the way I play. But, yeah, it was in my mind because I have a wife. I got a family. I got to make sure I don't get hurt. But I don't remember you money signing after a block.
I'm a center, Cap. Nobody cares about me, man. No one knows what I was doing. No one thought I should get paid. No one cares about a center, Cap, man. So
can you imagine if Olin would have looked into the camera and done this?
So,
oh my God,
Pat Manley did tell this story. So they played that year. They paid R.W. McQuarters and Brian Robinson, the defensive tackle. They gave them R.W. McQuarters is a good cornerback, good punt returner too. And I was young and hoping to get paid. And Big Cat used to make a bottle of Gatorade like bazooka. He'd make a bazooka out of it. And, because we were so bored in meetings. And I was laying in the grass before one walkthrough, pointing at Jerry Angelo's office, screaming at him to pay me my money. I'm glad he decided to. I could see if he didn't want to after those silly things I did. But another funny story about that, Cat, was 2002, which is when me and Wendy got married. And I actually got married the day free agency opened, and I didn't know if anybody was going to offer me anything. So I was arguing about prices the whole time for the wedding. And Bartelstein calls me. He's like, the Dolphins just offered X amount. And I looked at Wendy. I said, you shouldn't have went so cheap on this wedding. And she swore at me. She was not happy. I was as shocked as anybody the Dolphins offered that much. I couldn't believe it, But it's an interesting situation they're going through. Obviously, it's a totally different time with Instagram and Twitter and radio shows. And, I wasn't one for the media, as you guys know. I wasn't on radio shows and stuff. So totally different. Cornerback, center. Jalen Johnson, as Tom is saying, be that guy, but you better be that guy.
Tommy, I don't know if you're aware, like how Olin and I developed a relationship. We were literally at a golf tournament, and somebody bet him on a putt I had to make, and it was a long putt. I made it. The guy goes, Olin, you got to let me win my money back, double or nothing on another one. I turned to Olin. I'm like, what's in it for me? He goes, you get Olin Kreutz unplugged anytime you want him the rest of your career. And nice. I made the putt, and the OG and I have been.
It was a good putt, man.
It was. Dear friends ever since.
I've heard other golf stories with you and Olin and Pat Manley and other spots as well.
Yeah,
well, let's do another stuff.
We do have to do our player of the game, our Dr. Pepper player of the game. I gave it to Justin Fields. I thought he was electric. I gave you his numbers, but he does get our Dr. Pepper player of the game. And we'll see if he can continue that on Monday Night Football against the Vikings.
What happened with Eddie O.B. and he didn't like the dancing? And like, are people shocked he said that? Like,
yeah, O.B.'s like, old school, man. He did not like the dancing.
Come on. I'd be disappointed if O.B. didn't say that. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want to hear from him.
That's who OB is. Dr. Pepper is an American original, just like our Chicago Bears, pleasing your taste buds. Since 1885, Dr. Pepper is a unique combination of 23 flavors, a winning formula that football fans love. Grab an ice cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. I want to talk about Justin Fields because Ryan Poles is spotted at one game and Ian Cunningham's at Drake May's game. So what goes into, in your guys' opinion, into an evaluation? Because Justin's tall and strong and physical and runs fast and has a strong arm, and he's a good guy in the room. His teammates like him. His work ethic looks like it's on point. So how do you evaluate quarterbacks? Because I see a lot of GMs miss.
What an inexact science, right? I mean, I've never taken a shot at it. I don't know, like, I think I know what I would be trying to see on film of him processing information and the plays and seeing coverage and how fast he gets the ball out so it translates to the NFL, right? And then does he have the intangibles like Justin has? The athletic ability if he doesn't get the ball out fast, right? So, and then, of course, man, you heard them say it, Tom, it's consistency.
Yeah.
And when I hear people say consistency in NFL, all I think about is the focus of the work you put in during the week. That's all I think about. Do you have the energy to focus all the time on what needs to be done on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Because those are the days, right? When we talk about this winning culture, this thing no one can describe. Let me describe it for you. You don't accept anything but perfect at practice, right? You're going through the things, the plays, the way they're supposed to be going through them. I would have nose guards, and it doesn't mean I did it all the time, and it doesn't mean I didn't have bad games. It doesn't mean I didn't lose. I did. But you had nose guards in a scout team. They wouldn't give you the look. In my mind, I'm blocking the nose guard I'm going to block on Sunday. That's the kind of mental preparation you're putting in. You want to know if the quarterback is doing that. Like you're saying, Cap, it's an inexact science. But in a short, I think, we could do a whole show on that. But I think those are the things, Tom, I would look for most important to me.
Yeah, that's where it starts for sure. I would also, when you're evaluating, how do you perform when things go wrong? Like I think we can all perform when everything is great, like when the pocket's clean and the route develops correctly and the defense that you're expecting to see shows up. But when it's not clean, when it doesn't unfold the way you're expecting, can you still find solutions to questions and problems that maybe in some ways are unfair? When it all unfolds in a very kind of elementary way, I think most quarterbacks can excel. But what happens when Brian Flores shows you a look that you weren't expecting? Or Brian Flores drops coverage on you that you weren't expecting? Or your left tackle trips and accidentally falls, and you have to make a split-second decision? Like, I think what I would do is evaluate quarterbacks in their most, precarious moments versus when everything it falls in under, the right way. Like when the pocket is clean and your post-dig thing comes correctly and the coverage you were expecting or hoping develops, like we can all succeed there, right? But what happens when the shit gets a little bit murky? That's when, I think that the really good players, regardless of position, the cream rises to the top. So like, this is why I think that Monday night's going to be a really good test. Like we've seen Justin play well against the Lions in the past, haven't we? Like they don't play mobile quarterbacks very well. We saw that against, Lamar in Baltimore early in the season. We saw Justin have success against them last year. But what happens when you go to Minnesota and Brian Flores is showing you things like are crazy? Can you still find a way to get the best out of your guys and get the best of their defense? And I think that Olin and Cap, I think that's when guys really define themselves or they stand out and they put themselves above others, is when stuff really starts to get complicated and you're seeing things that you weren't expecting, but you still find ways to be successful. Those are the things that really impress me.
Let me ask you a question. Caleb Williams has had a very tough season. Coming in, he's the defending Heisman winner. He's the premier guy, and his team has been horseshit. And they lose again the other night, and the media is waiting to talk to him. And guess what? The media relations guy comes out and says, Caleb has elected not to talk to the media. This is not the first time this has happened. Would that be a red flag to you guys that he's immature, or I don't care about that stuff?
I don't think if you're looking at quarterbacks, I don't think you can say you don't care about anything, right? If you're looking at taking a guy 1 or 2 in a draft, you care about everything he does, right? And I would have to ask him about that. Why didn't you talk to the media and figure out? Did he feel like he was wrong by the media? Did something happen that I don't know about? Why wouldn't you go out there and talk be the spokesperson for your team? Because I'm in the Chicago media market, right? This is not an easy place to play. It's worth it if you can be good, but it's as hard as it gets, right? I talked a little bit about what it was like in New Orleans when you walked on the field and there's like one media guy there, right? The difference between Chicago when there's like 10 Hall of Fame writers and radios and tents and ESPN and the Score, and just all over the place. So, Cap, there's no way you can say that you don't care about that.
I said to you guys several weeks ago, and I know you guys watch the show, right? The Manning quarterback show. Mm-hmm. And I think we all agree that Patrick Mahomes is freakishly good. I had so much more respect after watching that show for him and how he prepares physically, mentally, and how he gets himself ready to play and what he holds him, the standard he holds himself to. Those are all things to me that make him who he is. Like that athletic ability is something else. But what he has inside and his, his internal makeup, I think is what takes him to that next level. And look, I have no way of knowing whether or not Caleb Williams or Drake May or JJ, McCarthy has any of that stuff. That's the job of Ryan Poles and guys who get paid handsomely to evaluate that stuff. But I think it's important. And maybe Patrick Mahomes reaches these high heights even if he doesn't have this personality. But Olin, I doubt it. I doubt it if he doesn't have that fabric and that makeup, like we saw in that quarterback series, I don't know that he is the best player in the National Football League. You know what I'm saying?
I do. And the first thing I wonder about is what we talked about earlier, right? Like, how did they miss that in the draft?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I haven't studied it. I haven't looked through, all the quarterbacks. I've never studied the quarterbacks in the draft and been able to get all the information. I just, I would argue that the way they do things is wrong, maybe. But I don't know what they're looking at. I don't know what they're looking for. And I don't know what questions they're asking and how you don't know. I'm sure there's a way, because they're not, like, he goes a lot. This is stories happen. Tom Brady. I mean, gosh. So you don't know how it's all being missed, but at some point, like you're saying, Tom, it's being missed, Cap. How do you know to take Williams or May and not keep Fields? I mean, right now, with the history of the NFL, if you study it, you don't.
Here's the other thing I said on the radio, and I'd love your guys' opinion, and then we'll get to our Vienna eye on the opponent. We'll talk Vikings here in a minute. If you're Ryan Poles and you have the number 1 pick this year, let's assume they do, and you had the number 1 pick last year, and you've now missed on C.J. Stroud, and I'm not saying the trade wasn't a good trade, but C.J. Stroud looks like that guy. And, again, it's early. Maybe it'll change, but I think he looks like that guy. If you trade that pick and go, we're keeping Fields, and he does not become what we hope he becomes, and Caleb Williams or Drake May or J.J. McCarthy or Michael Penix is that guy, that gets you fired. You have the number 1 pick 2 straight freaking years, and you leave 2 generational quarterbacks on the board. If I'm the owner, I'm like, we haven't had a quarterback for 50 effing years, and you had the number 1 pick twice, and you effed it up. Bye-bye. Right?
Yeah, yes. Yeah. I mean, if he misses on 2 quarters, yes. I mean, that's Cap, like you're asking a simple question there. Yes. I mean, that's like Stroud is doing good.
All these Justin Fields fans call the radio shows on both stations. Ask Tommy, these maniacs call in like it's like a layup that Justin's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I'm just telling you, CJ Stroud's pretty freaking good.
I would say this, Cap. I think it's a really good point. And I mean, I think this is a different conversation. But when it comes time to make this pick, if in fact you do have Carolina's pick and that pick becomes the number 1 pick, I think you make a really, really good point. And I referenced this today on our show, is that whether you're following your gut or you're following how people feel about you, you're right. If you misevaluated the situation last year when you had the first overall selection and you do it again the second year, you're probably a punchline for the next 30 years in the world of the national.
Like Ryan Pace is.
And I think that's the nature of the beast when it comes to this business. And that's the burden that a general manager has. So I understand what you're saying. And I think it's a really, really good point. I just think my hope is that you do the evaluation and you stick to your guns and you have conviction. And if you believe that it's Caleb Williams or Drake May or whoever it is, and you feel that guy gives you a better chance, then go that direction. If you feel that Justin Fields is your answer and you want to assume the added contract situation that exists, then go in that direction. Don't waffle. Don't make a decision based on how you feel your decision is going to be perceived down the road, because then you ain't being true to yourself. So you got to do what you feel is best and how you've evaluated the situation. But I'm with you. I think it's a great point that you make, that all the pressure that's attached to this league and this sport and that situation, with that in mind, I find it hard to believe that they don't go in that direction.
All right, let's talk Minnesota Vikings. It's brought to you by Vienna as we look towards the look ahead. And again, I'm happy to announce our partnership with Vienna Beef this year. Great taste, great flavor. Since 1893, celebrating their 130th anniversary. If you're not in town, if you're in town, you're going to have a little party to watch Monday Night Football or watch a Bears game or watch something on TV with your friends, your family. Chicago-style hot dog kit, baby. VienaBeef.com. Perfect for any tailgate, game day. Use this code, CAP23 at checkout. Get 15% off your order today. Vienna Beef. It is awesome. Okay, Minnesota had a tough loss the other day. They lost their quarterback, and Olin, Josh Dobbs rolls in, had taken 0 snaps from Garrett Bradbury, the center, got off the elevator in a funny video. He's like, excuse me, which way's the locker room? He had no idea, and goes out and is playing pretty solid football. Hawkinson's one of my favorite players in the league. He's really good. Madison runs hard. So what is the biggest challenge for the Bears on Monday night? Is it one of the dudes we're showing, or is it Brian Flores, the D coordinator?
To me, it's going to be you're showing Danielle Hunter, but to me, it's going to be Brian Flores and the noise, right? In Minnesota, you saw the Bears struggle with it a lot versus the Lions, where I was laughing, Cap and Tom, because someone asked me what happened between Feeney and Justin Fields. And Feeney, I think he said that they told him Friday he was the backup center. He's been in and out, suiting up. And I said that Justin Fields probably yelled at him, "Don't you know the snap count?" He said, "No." Hey, don't you know the silent count? No.
No.
And him and Lucas were having some problems with it too. They were delayed games. They were arguing about not snapping the ball. So I think the noise, the problems Brian Flores presents to your pass pro, obviously running the ball is going to be important. And just the way they play, right? They play very aggressive. They challenge your communication, which on the road is always hard to do. It's always hard to get things going on the road for centers and organize blocking schemes and get calls out. And is Lucas Patrick up? I don't know. If he's not, and they got to go Feeney again, and they got to go Justin Fields, and they got to get communication, all that stuff done in the dome. That defensive line, Daniel Hunter and the guys in Flores, their biggest challenge by far.
Yeah, I agree. Like some of the stuff that was available to Justin in this offense against the Lions, I don't know is going to be available to them against the Vikings. I don't know that you can get the edge versus Hunter and the other kid whose name's escaping me, who's been very, very good against the Bears in the past. I think that Brian
Wunham, is that right, Tom?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
He's the one that got the sack to start the game on the first play.
Yeah, he only has good games against the Bears.
That's exactly. He's for whatever reason. But both of these guys, like I can guarantee that Brian Flores is going to pound into their heads. Look, you do not let this athletic, dynamic quarterback get the edge on you. If he is going to tuck and run, he is going to run through the middle of this line, and we're going to beat the crap out of him every time he tucks and run. We're going to make him pay for it. We're not going to let him get to the edge and make a business decision going out of bounds. So I think Flores will be a guy. I look at the Vikings too, and I admire what they've been able to do. And maybe it's Kevin O'Connell and kind of the winning culture that he's trying to create. You've got guys that have come in and have come out, but guys are making plays. Guys are stepping up, and guys are finding ways to answer questions. And I think, as Olin said, you go up in that building, and if you don't take the crowd out early, they're going to front run like every crowd in the league does. And I think it's going to be a problem. I think this is probably Justin's – this and I guess the Cleveland game probably 3 weeks from now. You get the bye, then you get the Lions again, then you get Cleveland. I think this game in Minnesota against this defense and this DC, and then going to Cleveland against that defense, I think those are probably Justin's 2 biggest challenges for the remainder of the season. And I'm really interested to see how he responds against this crew.
Of all the coaches currently in the league, and I'll leave Eberflus to the side because I don't think he'd be the choice anyway. If you could play for any coach in the league right now, I'm not big enough, I'm not fast enough, but if I could be, I want to play for Dan effing Campbell. I love that dude. Olin, who would you want to play for?
The first name that came to my mind when you said that was Sean McVay. I just love the way he sets his offense, and really more just to learn about football and the passing game and how he attacks defenses and different coaches. And I just think he does a nice job setting up his offense and getting it going. Like Kyle Shanahan is good, but Sean McVay does a lot with less.
I would say, Shanny would be at the top of my list. My first thought, and I'm ashamed that I wouldn't say Shanny because I've been such a huge Kyle Shanahan fan. I was going to say Andy Reid because I know even Andy could get my dumb, slow ass open just by play calling. So, I mean.
Talk about not catching the ball.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And that's one thing I know I can do. I'm not going anywhere when I catch it. But yeah, there are so many guys in this league that I think that are fantastic at what they do. And I mean, it'd be an honor to play for a lot of them.
I will tell you, if you want to fix the culture, and maybe with Ted Phillips out of the building and Kevin Warren in the building, and Albert Breer from SI.com, Monday Morning Quarterback, was on with us this morning. He said he's hearing Kevin is going to get much more involved on the football side of things. He wants things straightened up. You see guys now doing their interviews. They're not slouched sitting there like this. They're standing. I mean, that's the influence of Kevin Warren going, this bullshit around here is going to stop. And I'm hearing there have been some very harsh meetings going on in his office as well. But man, oh man, if Mike Tomlin ever could be a free agent, that dude would be the guy that fixes your culture. Don't you think?
Yeah, Mike's done a great job in Pittsburgh, man. And he seems to just find ways to win football games. I've been a fan of Tomlin for a long time. I mean, if he is there, I mean, you have to consider a guy like Mike Tomlin, especially with what the Bears are going through. Cap, to your point, I mean, so much has to change at Hallis Hall. And this year, if you are the president of that organization, it's been an embarrassing year. I mean, it really has. We don't have to go through everything again, but it's been an embarrassing year. And then losses like that have got to be it's got to hurt, man. With everything you've gone through already, your team finally looks good, and with 4-15, you melt down, right? It's just, as a president, man, you cannot be shocked if you walk in that building, he's pissed off.
Yeah, Olin, I think you've been spot on with a lot of the things that have been, they've been endemic to the situation up there, and they've been a constant issue up in that building for quite some time. Kevin Warren has been very quiet, I think, since he took over in April, and I think
we'll hear from him.
Yes, I think he's been sitting back and just observing, and it'd be very hard for him to step in and be very influential when a lot of what has transpired so far this year was put into place before he got here. So I think what he's done is he's sitting back and he's watching this. I would be shocked if at the end of the year you didn't hear a very emphatic presentation from him and what his expectations are going forward on a number.
I brought this up on the air with Hoodie this morning, and then I'll get your predictions or Olin's keys and we'll get out of here. I said, do we hire a bunch of dopes all the time, or is it the building? I believe, after talking to people I truly respect, you guys included, that it's the building. Because you can't tell me that Matt Nagy comes from the Chiefs, Ryan Poles comes from the Chiefs, Ryan Pace comes from the Saints, Dave Wanstead comes from the Dallas Cowboys, Lovey and Angelo come from Tampa where they were having success. Not everybody is an idiot. Not every one of them. At some point, it's the fucking building that is poison there. And you get there and you walk out like a dope with a bee on your head. I mean, it really borders on absurd.
What's it stand for, too? When the bee's on your head, what's it stand for? Boob?
Bears. Boob. Yeah. All right. Olin, give me 2 keys to the game on Monday night.
I mean, I'd like to see Eberflus keep up what he did before the two drives. I think he's done a great job of matching up versus, what a lot of people consider a really good offensive coordinator last week. And I told you guys what I thought he was against the Panthers. I thought he was an advantage. I thought the defense did really well. I think that's a key. I think they only let him score, I think it was 19 the first game. They got to keep him under 20 again. It's going to be tough for the offense to score points up there in Minnesota. So defense is dominating the game, keeping everything in front of them, forcing field goals in the red zone, keeping it low scoring. The defense has to have a great performance. Hopefully, Coach Eberflus stick, because he's, obviously he's better at calling the game than he is at doing interviews. So hopefully he has a good game up there in Minnesota.
By the way, can we please ask Montez Sweat to play more than 63% of the plays? Right. And that's on Eberflus.
Yes.
That's a rotation. So the biggest freaking plays down in the red zone at the end of the game, our $98 million guy standing with him.
Again, real quick.
98 plus 70, right? Yeah. Jermaine's standing there too. So
that's
what's
right.
98 plus 70?
Real quick, if I'm Kevin Warren, that's a question I have for everyone in the building this week. So wait a second. We gave up a second-round pick, and we paid this kid $100 million, and he's a really good player. And our offense had the ball for 40 minutes, so fatigue can't be part of the equation. And our difference-making defensive end, only played 63% of the snaps, especially when that team in the last 4 minutes was in 2-minute O and was a throw first offense. That's a question that I need answered.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
All right, Tommy, your prediction.
Listen, I think that you look to the past to predict the future, right? And I don't think anyone was surprised that the Bears offensively were able to do some things against the Lions because we've seen that happen recently. I think this Bears offense struggles a little bit against the Brian Flores defense. So I think that there will be some issues. I don't think that the Vikings will get away from this Bears defense, but until I see differently, I would say that the Vikings probably hold serve at home, 2017, something in that area.
Yeah, I think it's like 27-17 is where I see it. I think the Vikings win. Olin, I'm getting a lot of response here. People want to know, what is the helmet that's behind you?
I'm happy you asked because my 7-year-old daughter, Leah, made it for me. And if I didn't, she came in during the break and she said, "You haven't said anything about my helmet yet." So
wow.
Leah went to, I think it's called Painted Penguin up there in Vernon Hills. And she made that just so she could see it on this show.
How cool is that with the 57 on it?
That's awesome. My 26-year-old Leah didn't make me shit. Nothing. He's actually in South Carolina having vacation. So,
well, I know where it's going to end up then. I better enjoy these moments.
Absolutely. Guys, have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yep.
I am thankful for you guys that we get to do this show together. I look forward to next Tuesday. It'll be the day after Monday Night Football. We'll see if we can get surprised pleasantly with a Bears win. But have a great time with your families. And again, I'm thankful for you.
You guys as well. Thank you, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving, man.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Dad, we're running low.
We'll be all right.
What is going on here?
Insulation? I'm chilly. I can't help you with a decoration, but I can help you replace these windows fast.
Right now, buy one window and you'll get one free. Plus, no interest until 2025. And we'll get it done Feldco fast.
Buy one window, get one free, and soon. Hurry. Call now.
Call 866 for Feldco.
Feldco Bears Recap Live is brought to you by Feldco, Chicago's home renewal experts. Call 866-4FELDCO. 4 Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. For all the right reasons, 4 Seasons. Vienna Beef. Go to viennabeef.com and use code CAP23. That's KAP23 at checkout for 15% off your order today. And Dr. Pepper. Grab an ice cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Westtown Bakery in Wheeling at the corner of Lake Cook Road and Milwaukee. Enjoy the best brunch Saturday and Sunday mornings.